Hello YouTube. Tonight is the evening of August 6th, 2019. Thought I'd do a quick review on these custom scales I had made for my Benchmade 560 Freek. So by now, most of you probably already know about the Benchmade 560. You probably know that the regular one comes with these scales, which some people like them, some don't. I honestly hated them. Alright, so you got that grivery material, which basically the whole scale inside and out is made of, and then they put this rubber on the outside. And it also comes with normally the split arrow Benchmade clip. It's kind of hard to get in out of your pocket. Yes, the grip on this, I mean, when you hold these, it's phenomenal for work, I guess. But it also makes it hard to get out of your pocket, and honestly, over time, I don't think they're going to hold up too well, because I've only had these on this knife for probably, it's not zooming in, but probably about a month, and I already have rubs from keys in my pocket and stuff where it's kind of chewing through that rubber. Not a big fan of it. Fortunately, they have the other 560 with the G10 and the M4 steel, but it didn't suit me. I don't know. I haven't actually held one. I don't really have much experience with M4 steel, but I do have a lot of experience with S30 and some of the other stainless steels, and I prefer that. Even though, yes, I maintain my pocket knives, I wipe them down and clean them, but I just prefer stainless for day-to-day use. It's easier to sharpen. It holds an edge pretty good for EDC for me. Opinions will vary on that, whatever. I also don't like coated blades at all. So when I bought this knife, I knew when I bought it that I was going to be upgrading the scales. And as of right now, there's only one guy I know of that makes scales for this knife, and that is a Russian guy by the name of Aramis Akhmedov, which, if you're a fan of Dr. Franke, I know that he has several scales from him on various knives. So once I got the knife, I basically got a hold of him. It took about a month for the scales to be made and shipped to New York. I'm in upstate New York, not downstate. I don't know how that would work in the city. Probably can't even have this knife in the city just because of the length. But in any case, these are phenomenal scales, and they really make the knife. So I had black G10 made with a forest green G10 backspacer, and the quality is phenomenal. The screw holes line up perfect. I mean, the jimping and all this, just the milling on the inside, it is just perfect. This is how this knife should come from Benchmade, in my opinion. It just makes it that much better of a knife. So when you buy the scales, it comes with a backspacer, and it comes with these 3 shiny stainless steel screws, because apparently in Russia it's hard to get a hold of the normal screws, which are they're not metric, they're imperial. I forget what the thread is on it. I'm sure if you Google it you can find it, but in any case, and plus this only has 2 screws, this has 3. So that's a little nitpick of the scale, is the fact that you have 3 shiny stainless steel, and then if you use your original screw here, which goes into the liner on the inside, and your pivot, and your blade stop here, stop pin, obviously those are black oxide. I'm sure I can get a hold of some titanium screws, or possibly stainless online if I did enough searching to make them all match, but honestly, it doesn't bother me all that much. Alright, back to the scales. So, one thing I do like about this guy is I actually paid a little bit more, and I had him mill it for the pocket clip for both left and right hand carry. If you haven't noticed yet, I'm left-handed. Okay? Nobody else in my family is left-handed, so if my son or someone wants to borrow this knife, all I gotta do is unscrew that pocket clip and boom, I can put it on this side. That's one thing I hate about a lot of custom scales, is they're only drilled for right-hand carry. This might drive some people, knife people, nuts. It doesn't bother me. Okay, I use my knives. I like the fact that I can switch it. I would say for what you pay for the handles, it's totally worth it. So all invested with this knife. I got this knife. I think I paid about $104 for the Freek. And then I forget that I could have bought the Super Freek if I wanted to, but I just don't like the M4 steel, and I'm really not a big crazy fan of the red on it. I like green and black. Those are my favorite colors. I just can't believe that nobody else is making scales for this knife yet. This drop point blade is phenomenal. I mean, I have hard used this, and even though it only has a half liner, which goes to here, which I'm sure most of you are aware of, I mean, I've whittled wood with this. I haven't batoned with it, which I don't do that with my folders, but I've seen videos of people doing it with these scales on it, and it handled it. I mean, basically, if you were to break this, you have a blade stop pin here, and the liners are in a milled pocket on the scales. You would have to, like, basically break this G10 before you even thought of stripping this screw. So yeah, it's not a super heavy duty folder, but I mean, you're going to be abusing it before you break it. Let's compare it to some other Benchmades. So compared to, let's go with the 940, it's a little bit longer of a blade, not by much. One thing you will notice too on the G10 from Aramis is it has almost like a milling pattern in it, which looks like wood grain, which I think looks awesome. You can kind of see the lines. They look almost like growth rings, like it was made out of wood. Okay. Another knife I just purchased, which review to come. This knife is my super heavy duty Benchmade as of right now. Is the turret. I was looking at the Contigo and the Aramis, and I really like drop point blades. These two are very similar as far as blade shape. Obviously this one has a swedge on the top right there, but you're talking 3.7 inches I believe versus 3.6. This one I thought was a little funny, the way that you got this ramp right here, but honestly, it's super comfortable. I was afraid of that, but it's very comfortable. Out of all the knives I own, I would probably compare this one, as far as weight and size, very comparably to my ZT-0562, which actually I have kicking around here somewhere. Just give me a second. Alright, we're back. Sorry, I couldn't find, sometimes when you do these, there's stuff right in front of your face, I just couldn't find it. So this is my ZT-562, and I'm really going to say that these two are about in the same class. Honestly, as of right now, which my opinions change, and obviously not everyone's going to agree with me, I'm going to say that I like this knife better than the 562. And I really like this knife. This was like my first knife that I spent a lot of money on. Before all these, I used to just, have buck knives and CRKT, Kershaw, But in any case, just wanted to show you a couple other knives. There is going to be a review going on with this one in the future, because honestly, this knife rocks, in my opinion. So, if you like the Freek, but you hate the scales that come with it, there's a guy, he's on Instagram, I'll put his name in the description. You can get a hold of him through there, or if you're right-handed, I believe he sells these on eBay. And you can get yourself a set of these. and it really does change the knife. And that is it for tonight. Have a good evening.